Hi, thank you for taking a minute to watch this. I wanted to introduce myself and explain a little bit more about the different ways a property can be sold. My name is Trisha, and I live and work here in Chico and Orville, and I work with my family in real estate and property investing. Over the years, we've helped lots of property owners look at different options depending on what their goals are to sell their home. When people want to sell their home, they usually think they only have one option, and that is to list it on the market and take a lump sum payment at closing. And that is certainly one option, but it's not the only one. The other approach that we've helped sellers with is seller financing, also known as owner carry. And what that means is the seller receives payments with interest over time instead of all of the money at once, similar to how a bank receives a mortgage payment. This also doesn't have to be for over 30 years, though. You can structure it in many different ways. For example, you can receive payments for 1, 2, or 5 years, and then the remaining balance is due as a lump sum at the end of that time period. And for some people, this can create a monthly income. And in certain situations, it may allow capital gains to be spread out over several years instead of occurring all at once. Of course, that depends on each person's situation, and you should always review that with your CPA. Another option is a direct purchase. My family and I sometimes purchase properties ourselves using private funds. And that allows somebody to sell the property as is without making any repairs or preparing it for showings. And this can also allow for a more flexible time period depending on what your ideal sale time is. And then the third option is listing the property back on the market for sale. When we help someone list a property, our focus is on creating a plan to help maximize the return for the owner. So sometimes that might mean a fresh coat of paint, a few small repairs, or freshening up the landscaping. We also have our own staging furniture, and what we've found is when a home is staged, it tends to attract more showings, and more showings usually leads to stronger offers and often a quicker sale. So of course, only works if we price it correctly at the beginning. That's really where our expertise comes in, helping owners decide what improvements to make and which ones not to do, and how to position the property to get the best possible result. At the end of the day, every property and every owner situation is different. And our role and our job is to simply help you understand your options and guide you towards what makes the most sense for you. If you would ever like to talk through your situation, feel free to call or text me at 530-693-0402. And there's no pressure, and I'm happy to help strategize. Thank you again for watching.